It was a rainy night in the rural outskirts of Hyderabad, and the storm had been raging for 2 days straight. Sheets of rain hammered down on Surya's car, splashing against the windshield, blurring the road ahead. The wipers creaked back and forth, almost drowning in the heavy downpour, the only sound breaking the silence inside the car. The road stretched through the forest, desolate and dark, winding endlessly with trees looming on either side. Surya was eager to reach home. He squinted through the windshield, catching sight of a figure on the side of the road, drenched, one arm raised with a thumb pointed out for a lift. Surya slowed the car, his headlights illuminating a young man shivering in a thin t-shirt and jeans, water dripping from his tousled hair. A sense of twisted excitement bubbled up in Surya. This wasn't a road where people got picked up by strangers. Why would anyone be out here in the middle of nowhere on a night like this? Surya thought. But with a sly smile, he pulled over. The man hurried inside, relieved to escape the rain, his eyes darting around the car as he settled in. Surya took a moment to study him. He was in his mid-20s with a beard and a boyish face that barely hid his unease. Scary night, isn't it? Surya broke the silence, glancing sideways. Yes, it really is, the man replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Surya noticed the nervous shift of his passenger's eyes, constantly glancing into the darkness outside as if fearing something or someone might be out there. As they drove on, Surya tuned the radio to his favorite talk show, letting it fill the silence with a droning voice that seemed to calm him. But the man fidgeted in his seat, glancing back through the rear window again and again. Are you all right? Surya asked, feigning concern. Yes, he nodded quickly. Surya smiled to himself, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. He sensed the fear, feeding on it. As the rain pounded harder, he switched the channel to the news, where a stern voice was reporting. We have just received information about a dangerous fugitive who has escaped from the Shriji Psychiatric Institute. He is armed, highly dangerous, and was last seen in the vicinity of... The man quickly reached over and pressed a button to switch to music, breaking the tension with a loud pop song. Surya raised an eyebrow, watching the man's hand tremble slightly. I hate the news. It's always so depressing, don't you think? The man said, forcing a laugh. Don't worry, I'm probably not the killer. The man added, awkwardly trying to lighten the mood. Oh? Surya tilted his head, a dark glint in his eye. Of course you're not. They continued down the winding road in silence, the heavy rain masking the sound of Surya's quiet, measured breaths. The man's mind seemed to drift back to his own thoughts as he stared out the window, oblivious to the way Surya's hand had slipped beneath his seat, his fingers closing around a cold, familiar blade. What do you do for a living? Surya asked, breaking the silence again. I'm a writer, the man replied, his voice shaky. Really? What kind of writing? Surya's tone was smooth, calm. I'm working on a novel, the man said. It's about a brutal psycho serial killer. Surya chuckled, an eerie sound that echoed in the confined space of the car. Interesting choice. Writing about what terrifies us the most? Or sometimes what we know best, right? The man nodded but seemed uncomfortable with the conversation, shifting his gaze back to the passing trees outside. A few kilometers later, the man drifted off to an uneasy sleep, lulled by the hypnotic rhythm of the rain and the quiet hum of the engine. Surya's hand tightened on the wheel, his mind racing with possibilities. He could hear the distant echo of past victims' screams as if they haunted the very air inside the car, whispering to him, urging him on. His gaze flicked from the road to his passenger's exposed throat, veins barely visible under his pale skin. Surya drove on in silence, the knife gleaming faintly in the dim light. The rain drummed louder as he gripped the handle, feeling the thrill course through him like a shot of adrenaline. This was it, the moment when the two paths crossed, the point of no return. But he wasn't in a rush. He'd wait, savoring the anticipation. The news bulletin returned with an update. The radio announcer's voice shook as she reported, We now have the identity of the escaped patient. His name is Surya Kumar. He is highly unstable and believed to be armed. Authorities warn that he's extremely dangerous and may attempt to harm anyone who... Surya turned toward the sleeping man, a smile creeping onto his face as he whispered, "You're a writer, huh? Well, here's your plot twist." He gently placed his hand on the man's shoulder, shaking him awake. Surya's face was inches away, his eyes cold and predatory. "I don't think you got my name before, did you?" The man's eyes widened, a sense of realization dawning on his face. Surya tilted his head, holding up the knife with a slow, calculated movement, letting the man's horrified gaze fall on the blade, its edge smeared with faint red streaks. "It's Surya," he said with a chilling smile. The car skidded slightly as Surya slammed on the brakes, pulling off to the side of the road. The man tried to open the door, his fingers fumbling desperately, but Surya grabbed his wrist, yanking him back with a force that pinned him against the seat. "Nowhere to run," he murmured softly. "I think we've still got some time to kill." In the flash of a lightning strike, Surya's knife glinted, and a faint scream was swallowed by the storm as the road lay empty once again. Just another nameless path in the dark woods, with only the relentless rain as a witness. Hey, dear viewers, this is my Dear Diary. We're always looking to share more short stories. If you like our video, please subscribe to our channel. Your likes, comments, and subscriptions are my biggest motivation. More exciting and interesting novels updated every day. Thank you.